I can't believe we spent all the budget on our intro.
I'm quite proud of that, actually.
I, I don't know.
Just play it. I'm Alfie.
And I'm Don.
And this is Shock and Awe, the show for good people who are tired of bad news.
Are we going with that?
No.
Okay. Alright, so I want to start with This Week in Bullshit, because I think this episode is going to get really heavy, and I prefer a controlled descent before we barrel into the real meat of today's turds.
Corn of today's turds.
First up is, as is tradition, we open with a story about blackface. We had to cull this one from the last week to avoid overload, but we didn't want to miss out on the outrage. British telly boys Anthony McPartlin and Declan Donnelly, better known as Ant and Dec, have had the finger pointed at them as a clip from an old Saturday Night Takeaway sketch surfaced showing them in blackface. The skit also has them dressing up as a pair of Japanese girls, a couple of Bollywood actors, and as a pair of US rappers as well, but it's the blackface that's drawn the most ire. What do you make of that, Alfie?
Firstly, Ant and Dec were never funny. That's important to stress. And I think
Of course.
we're going to just see a lot of this for a while. We've had the Liam Neeson thing and Roseanne earlier.
Those were kind of different, though.
Yeah, but shut up. The point is, I think we're going to see a lot of yesterday being held to today's standards. Nowadays, these things just aren't going to fly.
They're not even going to get off the ground.
They're not even going to get off the ground because nobody is even going to let it go to air or to print or whatever. But back then, things were just more lax, and that's how it was. I don't know what people are expecting to get out of raising these things now. Like, we can retroactively stop that from ever happening, can we?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I mean, there's this kind of inflexibility towards the idea that values can change over time.
But I mean, what about Little Britain and Can Fly With Me? They had a bunch of blackface stuff.
Next time on Shock and Awe, Matt Lucas and David Walliams under fire for more of this shit.
It's not unlikely.
It's for fucking certain, because it's not even the only story like that that's come out this week. Actual cowboy John Wayne had an interview in which he advocated for white supremacy. It's a Playboy interview, make of that what you will, but in it he talks about how blacks have it better in America than anywhere in the world.
In what, the 1940s?
This interview was from 1971.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He talks about how white people were right to take America from the Native Americans. He calls Midnight Cowboy a film about two f***s.
Two
Yeah, two f***s. And the thing about this story, the reason it's bullshit, no one's shocked by this news. Surprise, Hollywood doesn't harbour all of Earth's paragons to society. It was well established that John Wayne was a racist, that he was a terrible person. It's not like he's been at the forefront of culture for the last 40 years. He died 8 years after this fucking interview.
Neptune has a new moon.
Yeah. Same goes for spray painting #MeToo on that statue of the soldier kissing the nurse. Never mind it was a different time. That was a whole other context. It was celebratory, not sexual. I get that it would be wrong now, but he was elated that he didn't have to go back and kill Germans and the war was over. I think that's worth celebrating.
I get that it's a matter of consent. Essentially, she was just taken into his embrace, and in her words, she didn't really have a say in the matter.
I don't understand why people have to bring up stories from years ago, and I'm not talking 5 or 10 years, I'm saying 75 years. I mean, they're just choosing to find something to get angry about. You don't think it's lazy, intellectually lazy, for people to go after dead celebrities or icons from bygone eras that had different, outdated values? Aren't there enough modern-day arseholes to go after? It's either lazy or it's not about that. They're actively going out of their way to find things to get mad about, plaster them up on the internet in their fucking articles or their videos, kick up a huge fuss like it's going to help anything. Like, it doesn't matter the context, it's about getting mad.
And that's stupid.
That's the definition of stupid. Why would you invite anger into your life like that? Why the fuck would you do that? Keep doing it. I mean, you'd think there was enough going on in the world that someone could find a cause to fight for or an injustice to correct, but no. You go for something easy, something Americentric that exists within its own bubble and doesn't apply to anything that matters here and now. You ask someone in fucking Indonesia how they feel about John Wayne being a white supremacist and see how mad they don't get. But no, instead of that, you go digging around to find a bunch of stories to throw a fit about in a YouTube video. And don't even have the decency to admit you're just in it for the fucking ad revenue.
Burberry made a hoodie with a noose on it.
Oh, really? That's hilarious.
So, what will today's generation of kids be remembered for?
Memes and wanting to die?
Well, apparently Burberry seems to agree. At London Fashion Week this year, I assume it's every year, Burberry unveiled their Tempest line, featuring clothes modelled for rebellious youths, Burberry's creative director even dedicating the line to the youth of today.
So, according to our analytics, most of our audience are adults in their 40s or up. Hi, Mum. So let me just explain what the issue is here. I mean, never mind that suicide sucks and is a shitty subject to try and make profit out of, but according to recent studies of the current young generation, some 70% see mental health as a major issue. The New York Times actually did an article on this just recently, with the pressures of school, social media, and the climate of terror we're all currently living in being major factors.
Now, whether you put this down to kids being sensitive or somehow weaker than the previous generation is immaterial. The point is a company thought it would be good practice to capitalise on how this generation is feeling by selling them a hoodie with a fucking noose on it.
You don't know that's what they were intending.
You don't have to. The romanticising of suicide has been an issue since before even Kurt Cobain made it fashionable.
Romeo and Juliet?
And thank God this example didn't go by unnoticed. It was actually thanks to one of the models at the show that this became the issue it currently is. Liz Kennedy posted the images to Instagram saying, "Suicide is not fashion." In the lengthy post that we couldn't possibly squeeze into this segment, but should absolutely have your attention, we'll link it below, she says, "Everybody at Burberry, it is beyond me how you could let a look resembling a noose hanging from a neck out on the runway. How could anyone overlook this and think it would be okay to do this, especially in a line dedicated to young girls and youth?" She goes on to discuss her own experiences with suicidality and how when she brought this up, she was told, "It's fashion. Nobody cares about what's going on in your personal life, so just keep it to yourself." To which she responds, "Well, I'm sorry, but this is an even bigger issue than myself. The issue is not about being upset. There is a bigger issue here of what fashion turns a blind eye to or does to gain publicity."
I'm all for this. I mean, it's not exactly shocking. A capitalist entity tries to capitalise on something, but...
Not shocking. In a show called Shock and Awe. Does that seem right?
All right, face. New story, 11-year-old Florida boy arrested for refusing to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
America's a very easy target.
All right, face. Zombie deer disease could spread to humans.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Good. So, deer eye? I don't know. They've got this disease called chronic wasting disease, which causes weight loss, loss of coordination, drooling, excessive thirst, and basically makes them hyper-aggressive. It's kind of like me with a hangover.
Like a zombie.
Well, yeah, exactly. And trusted source, the experts are saying this could now be spread to humans. So the possibility of a very real zombie apocalypse is right around the corner. I mean, it's no Incan curse or cordyceps virus, but it is hope, you know. It could all be over soon.
I'd take it. Deer bite couldn't be worse than a human bite, I assume.
Herbivores, they've got flat teeth. It'd be like being mulched inside a bag of micro machines.
Do you want to do your segment now?
Oh, yeah. So I don't want to get political, is the name of my new segment about things that have happened in the political circus recently. If you've been following the British Political Comedy Act recently, then you know how ugly it is with Brexit and all that. As a seeming result of this, a group of 8 Labour rebels and 3 Tory MPs have banded together to form the Independent Group, standing against abuse, anti-Semitism, racism, and of course, Brexit.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it does. So they had a conference about this, the BBC broadcasting it, and let's just play that clip, please.
Family and friends of Paul Flynn MP, who we learned passed away yesterday.
It's going to be so divided.
I'm now going to open it up to questions.
The Conservatives going to win.
He seems real.
They haven't said who he is.
No, but I'd listen to that guy. He sounds real, you know, down to earth. No political rhetoric, just good old-fashioned human pessimism.
Would you listen to Angela Smith?
I don't know who she is, but I would love to.
She's one of these Independent Party MPs, but let's have a listen to an interview that she made.
This is a really incredibly important debate, and we need to work through it rather than running away from it. I understand that. And I would add to the argument made to say that a white working class woman finds life hard enough. A BME, working class woman, and this is the gender aspect, will find it even harder. But it's not just about colour. I mean, you know, the recent history of the party I've just left suggests that it's not just about being black or a funny, you know, different from the BME community, but the Jew.
What did she say?
So she was just clarifying that she was talking about black people or people with a funny tinge.
A funny, you know, different from the BME community.
Christ alive.
Yeah, so racism is good and alive wherever you look. I mean, I just wanted to ask you, as someone who identifies as
a funny tinge.
Well, I was going to say black, Asian, minority, ethnic, the BAME thing, you know. Do you take issue with being called a funny tinge?
I mean, it says more about them than me. The fact that they reduce all non-white groups to a single phrase or abbreviation. How would it be if I described you as the as of being the considerably overrepresented Caucasian kind?
I quite like that. It's got a good ring to it.
So are we going to move past this racism, or
Who, you and me?
no, like us as a species?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know about you, but us white folk are clearly doing our best.
Clearly.
You know, disagree, though. Jussie Smollett.
Okay, who's that?
Jussie Smollett, so this isn't the political segment anymore, by the way. Jussie Smollett is a starring actor in the show Empire. It's a musical drama from Fox. So last month, Jussie Smollett was attacked, punched in the face, had something like bleach thrown in his face, and came out of the incident with a rope around his neck. She didn't know it was there until after the altercation. It all happened so fast sort of thing.
Okay.
So he says the attackers were wearing MAGA hats, or Make America Great Again. They told him he was in MAGA country. You know, it's the slogan that Trump used, the one about returning the USA to the 1950s when fewer people had power to have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So Smollett goes to the cop. They launch an investigation and catch the two guys. Right. Turns out they're brothers, and one of these brothers is Smollett's personal trainer.
Oh.
Yeah. In their interview, one of the brothers reveals that Smollett was dissatisfied with his fee from Fox for his role on Empire. Apparently, Smollett had previously tried to gain attention by sending himself racially charged letters to Fox Studios, one of which contained white powder.
What, like anthrax?
Aspirin. They found out it was aspirin. No.
Okay, so Jussie Smollett stages this attack because he wants Fox to pay him a higher salary.
Apparently, he thought it might make him a more high-profile actor. The point is that, I mean, this bullshit is ultimately going to deter real race-hate victims from coming forward for fear of being called out as another hoax.
But he could have discredited the whole MAGA movement.
Do you really think that would have been worth it?
Okay, first, I don't think. And second, it's in the script, so I have to say it. But no, it wouldn't have been worth it. This is fucking disgusting and unnecessary, and I hope they get to the bottom of it so that both sides have actual facts to work with.
It's just sad that figuring out the truth means some people can manipulate it like this.
If true.
If true. It's true.
What?
I literally just checked. He paid the attackers with a check. His name's on a check to the guys who beat him up.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's take a look at this week's main story.
Who's your favourite terrorist organisation?
Oh, there's so many. We got Al Qaeda, Boko Haram.
What about ISIS?
ISIS. They're up there, aren't they? They're the major league of terrorist organisations.
They're good, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not bad.
Well, Shamima Begum doesn't seem to think so.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
Well, so Shamima was in the news a few years ago for fleeing the UK as a teenager. But she's back in the news recently after being interviewed in a refugee camp, saying she'd like to return to Britain to raise her son.
Mm-hmm.
In this interview, she talks about watching her friends die and makes reference to seeing heads in bins. And she says this all relatively unshaken. It's quite emotionless. It just doesn't seem like she wants to come back because it's been so bad for her over there. In fact, most people are pretty insistent she just wants the free NHS and benefits and all that.
Okay. And why do we care about this?
So she said a few things that have put the crosshairs on her, specifically that she didn't regret going out there, even if she didn't agree with everything ISIS has done. And that while she was shocked to hear about the Manchester bombing, in which 23 people died and more than 100 were injured, many of whom were kids because it was an Ariana Grande concert, but said that the attack was itself a retaliation for airstrikes in the east, which also would have seen plenty of innocent women and children killed.
Okay, so tit for tat seems fair.
I don't know about that, but what I do know is that you can't revoke a person's citizenship if it means they'll be left stateless. It's actually a human rights violation. You can't do that, and seeing as Bangladesh doesn't want her, she's got Bangladeshi heritage, by the way, she doesn't really have many options beside coming home to the UK, which isn't going to happen since, at the time of writing this script, the British Home Secretary and cranially challenged potato man Sajid Javid with the perfectly round head. Have you seen this guy's head? It's seriously fucked. He's declared that she is no longer a British citizen and that she basically can't come home.
Okay, the end.
To be honest, I'm alright with this. I could really care less about what happens to someone who knowingly buggers off to join a terrorist faction that institutionalised rape, beheads people, runs people over with tanks, set prisoners on fire, all of that shit. It's messed up, and anyone who can get on board with that, I'd rather not deal with them. I mean, they do all these horrible things, and we're actually quite nice, considering.
Let's just watch her rot, and televise it too. Every day, an hour with Shamima, where we just watch her slowly starve to death. In fact, no. It might be a bit much. Just bring her back and have her stand trial for fucking treason like she deserves.
Then they can bring back hanging. And have her be the first one to get slung up so everyone knows not to mess with us.
Don't cut her loose, get her a noose.
Nice. Drawn and quartered, do you remember that? When they drag them through the street by a horse.
Refuse a car nowadays.
And then you cut them open and scoop out their insides, and then you cut their head off.
That was a punishment for treason.
Crushing.
Crushing?
Yeah, you get like a heavy rock, or I think they used elephants at one point, and you put it on their chest and you basically suffocate them slowly. I think they used to get elephants to crush their arms and legs one by one before stomping on their head.
Awesome.
I know, right? I mean, what about crucifixion?
Can you crucify a Muslim?
Of course you can. Why wouldn't you be able to?
Because that's how Jesus died. Like, wouldn't a person want to die like how Jesus died? Like, isn't that a good thing?
Why would you want to die like Jesus?
Because he was Jesus.
But it was a punishment. I mean, crucifixion is a slow and horrible way to die.
Then, why do they wear all the crosses?
It's symbolic
Of
the crucifixion.
I don't understand.
What don't you understand? I mean, crucifixion is a horrible way to die, and I think that makes a perfectly acceptable method of execution for a traitor of this country.
But you're holding said traitor to the same standard as Jesus Christ of Nazareth. You're saying you want to kill a person in that same way as befit the earthly form of the Christian Jehovah, elevating them surely to saviour status.
I don't understand where you're getting that from. It's a method of killing someone horribly and slowly.
Then why do they wear the crosses?
I don't know. Why are you so caught up on this?
Okay. Doesn't matter. We're getting off topic. Where were we?
ISIS are savages.
Right, yes. ISIS are savages.
Yeah, brutal, cruel, uncultured monsters who do terrible things to innocents and don't deserve an ounce of forgiveness or any measure of consideration. To throw your lot in with ISIS is to accept a lifestyle of brutal violence and immeasurable suffering, one that abhors any true freedom of discourse, any inherent respect for life, or the fundamental aspects of Western civilization founded on free enterprise. That's what's made us one of the greatest places to live in the entire world.
For £15, a zoo in Dartmoor will let you play tug of war with a lion.
Oh, for fuck's sake. No, this undermines everything I just said. I'm going.
I'm waiting for the door to slam.
It's on a latch.